Hey there and welcome. We are about to tackle one of the very first things you learn in any language, right? How to talk about where you're from. So let's just dive straight in. So are you ready to say where you're from in English without even thinking about it? This is a question you're going to hear all the time when you meet new people. And my goal here is to get you answering with total confidence in just the next few minutes. All right, so here's our game plan. First up, we'll cover the key vocabulary. Then we'll look at the centerpiece, the one verb you absolutely need. After that, we're going to put it all together and build some sentences. And finally, I'll give you a heads up on some super common mistakes to avoid. Sound good? Okay, first things first, we need to build our toolkit. You can't really build a sentence if you don't have the right words, right? So let's kick things off with the most important vocabulary, countries and nationalities. Okay, let's start with the Americas. Take a look at the table. Do you see a pattern here? The country, the United States, gives us the nationality, American. Brazil becomes Brazilian. Can you hear that sound? Brazilian. A lot of nationalities in this area have that "an" sound at the end. It's a pretty common one. All right, let's hop over to Europe. Now we're going to see some new patterns. Spain gives us Spanish. See that ish ending? France becomes French. But wait a second. Look at Italy. It follows the pattern we just saw. It becomes Italian. So the real key here is just to listen for these different endings. And hey, try saying them out loud with me as we go. And finally, let's check out one more really common ending, "-ese." So Japan becomes Japanese, and China becomes Chinese. Getting these sounds right is super important, so feel free to pause and practice them. Okay, so now we've got the words. What we need now is the engine that makes it all work. And that engine, the secret weapon that connects everything, is the verb to be. Honestly, it's probably the most important verb for talking about who you are and where you're from. In English, to be is a real powerhouse. And if you're a Spanish speaker, this actually makes things a little easier because it covers both ser and estar. So when you say I am from Spain, you're talking about your origin. And when you say I am Spanish, you're stating your identity. This one little verb does all of that heavy lifting. Of course, to be changes a little bit depending on who's talking. It's pretty straightforward, though. It goes like this. I am, you are, he, she, or it is, we are, and they are. If you can just lock these pairs into your memory, you've basically got the key to building almost any sentence about this. Okay, so we've got our words, we've got our verb. Let's do the fun part now. Let's put it all together and build some real sentences you can actually go out and use. So you've got two main ways to do this, and guess what? They're both totally correct. Option 1 is using the word from with the country. Option 2 is just using the nationality word all by itself. They mean the exact same thing, so let's break down how they work. Let's take an example. You could say, she is from Colombia. See, we're using the country there. Or you could say, she is Colombian, using the nationality. Simple as that. Both are 100% correct. Now, what if you want to say the opposite? It's super easy. You just add the word not right after the verb. So, we are not from Brazil. Or, we are not Brazilian. The structure is exactly the same for both options, which is nice and easy to remember. Now, what about questions? This is another simple trick. You just flip the verb and the person you're talking about. So instead of he is, it becomes is he? For example, is he from Australia? Or is he Australian? And just like that, with that one little flip, you can now make positive statements, negative ones, and ask questions. Pretty cool, huh? All right, you're doing great. Now, I want to give you a couple of expert tips because, learning what not to do is sometimes just as important as learning what to do. Let's go over 2 super common mistakes so you can avoid them and sound even more natural. Okay, this first one is a biggie. In English, countries and nationalities are what we call proper nouns, and that means they always, and I mean always, start with a capital letter. So it's never lowercase Mexican, it's always Mexican with a capital M. And the same thing goes for the word I. Whenever you're talking about yourself, I is always capitalized, always. And here is the other common trap people fall into. Just remember this simple rule. The word from only works with the name of a country. So you can say, I am Italian. That's perfect. Or you can say, I am from Italy. Also perfect. But you can never say, I am from Italian. The formula is easy. From plus the country or just the nationality by itself. So let's do a super quick recap of everything. Number 1, learn those country and nationality pairs. Number 2, always use the correct form of to be, am, is, or are. Number 3, don't forget those capital letters. And number 4, remember, from only goes with countries. That's it. That's your 4-step checklist to get this right every time. And that's it. You've got all the tools you need now. So I've got to ask you one last time. Where are you from? Seriously, try answering it out loud right now. Use both ways we talked about. You've got this. Thanks so much for tuning in and keep on practicing.